Hello and welcome back. And in a week that saw all three teams challenging for the Scudetto pick up all 3 points each,
and Hertha Berlin draw 0-0 to Schalke.
This is a Clear and Obvious podcast. Yeah, the big headline of Hertha Berlin drawing 0-0 to Schalke was clearly too much to bring in the listeners.
Yeah.
Brilliant, cheers Sam. Okay, so basically we're going to structure this a little bit better and hopefully a little bit more than we have the previous Fussball&Calcio podcast.
Yeah, the last time it was a bit of a mess. And I'll apologise at the start. I'm a bit ill. I feel...
You sound like Barry Hearn.
Yeah.
You sound awful.
I'm a bit... My voice is a bit deeper and I'm a bit, rough. But, oh well. And got to get the content out for you guys,
Exactly, yeah. We all want to hear your deep, booming voice, Sam. So please do keep it coming. But as we say, we got a bit more... We've got some segments involved in this one. The first one was sort of a pilot. But taking on, the feedback from the English episode, we decided that, segments were probably the best way to go. And a bit of a structure might actually make it sound a bit more professional. So here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Now, we listen to you guys, in your hundreds.
Your thousands, Sam. Come on, gosh.
Yeah, sorry. We're not that small. I don't know.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's crack on. So our first segment is going to be, as Martin Tyler famously quoted, 3 of the best. He's made them pack. No, you know what? I'm not going to go on with that. I'll just clip that in.
That completes a wonderful hat trick.
It's a day he'll never forget. Okay.
Stop.
We both basically just picked 3 games from the weekend from each of the 2 leagues, Serie A and Bundesliga, and we deep dive into them. And then we sort of just go through the results of the other games. So it's basically more honing in on 3 games from the weekend and kind of, giving more detail on those.
Yeah, instead of Archie just rambling 30 minutes on each
about
game.
Castrovilli, yeah.
Exactly.
I could do, to be fair. We need to do a Castrovilli special. But this isn't about Castrovilli as much as I'd like it to be. But yeah, so we're going to start off with that, and then we're going to go on to a prediction head-to-head. We choose... Yeah, I know, right? We're changing things up here. We'll keep track of it as well. It's going to be sort of like almost like a league, but only 2 of us because we're lonely. So we choose basically 3 Serie A and 3 Bundesliga games each, and then we predict the results of them. And it's in the categories of 1 game that's featuring the big teams, 1 match is pretty tricky to predict, and then 1 controversial pick, Sam.
Ooh, sounds
Indeed.
exciting.
And I'll run you through the point scoring as we go. When we get to it. But for now, we will crack on with 3 of the best.
Would you like to kick us off with the Serie A, Archie?
I would like nothing more. So we'll kick things off. Big week in Serie A, high scoring week, it must be said. One of the more surprising results of the weekend saw Sassuolo beat Roma 4-2 at home. Roma coming off a decent patch of form. They were looking quite good, going for those Champions League spots, and Sassuolo have been fairly inconsistent but have picked up some form recently. But they were 3-0 up inside half an hour. And they look really good. Going forwards, they were clinical. Their link-up play was incredible. An early Francesco Caputo goal and then another goal saw the home side get an early advantage. And their link-up play going forwards carved Roma up. They really didn't have an awful lot going for them. They Roma defensively didn't look great. They looked quite static. And then the third added by Filip Juricic. Saw that the game was almost put to bed after half an hour, and I was pretty shocked because I wasn't actually watching the game at the time. But you saw, I just sort of went back onto the scoreline, and it was like 3-0 after half an hour. I'm like, oh wow, okay, that's happening. But no, it was an interesting game. Sassuolo dominated going forwards. They've shown their potential attacking wise that they've shown previously. And so Roma actually prior to this game had only conceded 7 goals away all season. And now it was 3 in half an hour against Sassuolo of all teams. But yeah, no, they got 1 back. Dzeko got his 100th Roma goal, his century, in a classic Edin Dzeko header. Fairly slow, sort of looped ball to the back post and kind of just nodded
Pretty
in.
much an open goal.
Pretty much was, yeah. The keeper didn't really recover from his first save, even though it wasn't that close after his first save. And then, but unfortunately after that, Lorenzo Pellegrini, blatant second yellow, added to Roma's woes. But they still had a chance, to be fair, thanks to Jeremy Boger's handball in the box. It was unfortunate. He couldn't really get out of the way, could he? I mean,
No, it was hard for him. He couldn't do much.
Yeah.
But it was a penalty though.
yeah, no, it definitely was. It was sort of, bit out from his central body. So I guess it was a penalty.
It made his body bigger, didn't it?
It did indeed, yeah. But no, that gave the side from the capital a lifeline as Villa legend Jordan Veretout converted from the spot kick.
Iconic player he is.
Yeah.
He's. I hear they're building a statue outside Villa Park of him.
Of course, they definitely will be. Yeah,
What a player.
I can imagine he's definitely going to be cast into bronze sooner or later. But no, he's playing fairly well for Roma. And yeah, so that's brought the game back to 3-2, and you sort of sat there thinking, okay, Roma have got enough quality; they should drag this back to 3-0, salvage a point from a game which didn't really look like there was going to be a point. But Boga got his redemption, ran down the other end in his classic. I don't want to say ball hog because I mean he's not. He kind of is, but it was in the right situation in this particular instance. Sort of runs on the halfway line, has a defender on his heels the whole way, cuts in on his right foot in that trademark. Sort of inverted wing away and goes into the top right corner. It was a cracking goal, wasn't it? I mean,
No, it was a brilliant finish. I thought throughout the game though, one of the people, it's harsh, but Pau Lopez, I don't think he had a good game. Positionally, he was all over the place. His decision making was poor. I thought he was just very average.
he certainly didn't help them, did he? He certainly didn't help them with going 3-0 down in half an hour. He wasn't helped by his defence, admittedly, but yeah, especially the first goal, his starting position was woeful. Sort of Berardi put the ball through, Caputo was through 1-on-1, and if Pau Lopez was a bit further up, if he'd had a better starting position, or he'd just come out anyway, yeah. He could have come out anyway, that's the worst thing. But he didn't, and Caputo slid it past him, and yeah, that finished it up for 4-2. It's Sassuolo's first ever top-flight win against Roma.
That's crazy. That's actually
mental, yeah. And no, they look really good, to be fair. I like Sassuolo as a team. I like the way they play, and it also means they kind of remind me. They're almost in that Bournemouth mould of they're pretty good going forwards. They play some attractive football, but they're always They're always likely to concede goals. They're always likely to get absolutely battered some weeks, which they have done previously.
Sure.
But yeah, no, going forwards, they can be electric at times. They've got Boga, they've got Caputo, they've got Juricic. They've got a couple of really fast players in that attack, as well as Berardi, who anchors it all. Excuse me. But no, they look really good. And if they can keep this form going, then they will A, definitely stay up, but B, could push for that top half position. But I guess moving on from Sassuolo Roma. Another 4-2, a couple of 4-2s this week.
Serie A was very exciting this week.
Indeed it is, yeah, not just this week, Sam. It's been exciting the entire season ever since its existence. It's been great. This was 4-2 except for the away side one. This one, it was Napoli winning 4-2 away at Sampdoria. And like this game, it was sort of kind of helping Gennaro Gattuso continue trying to rebuild this Napoli team since that Juventus win. And it was sort of building on that. And they went 2-0 up fairly early on. They went 2-0 up after actually 15 minutes. Milik scored the first goal, cross-put him from Peter Zielinski. Saw the visitors take an early lead. There was actually a flare next to the post as he put it in.
I saw that, yeah. That was mad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, pyrotechnics on the post. But yeah, that was there, and he scored, so that was good.
Commentator made a comparison saying there's fireworks on the pitch, and I'm not talking about the players. A bit of banter there.
There we go. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. But yeah, no, it was a classic sort of Milik goal. Again, another classic hold-up striker goal, just a powerful header into the bottom right corner. Keeper didn't really have much of a chance. And then 15 minutes into the game, Eljif Elmas scored his first ever Napoli goal. He was only in the side because both Fabian Ruiz and Diego Demme were injury concerns. Demme ended up coming on later and scoring, however. But it was a corner from Mario Rui, helped on at the front post, and a tidy finish from the Macedonian.
Yeah, he got quite emotional after he scored that, didn't he? He was on the floor kneeling down. I think he was in tears, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very Hank Batch of him. It was very emotional celebration. But you can see why. It was a tidy finish. Keeper sort of nutmegs the keeper, holds off his defender, and no, a decent goal, and I'm happy for him, I guess. I mean, it's a good goal, so deserved. But then, just before the half-hour mark, Fabio Quagliarella, the fine wine that he is, scores arguably the goal of the weekend with a first-time volley from just outside the box. The ball was sort of chipped in from Ekdal, and he kind of loses a defender. His defender sort of slips. I can't remember who it was. I want to say Manolas. But he sort of slips in the build-up, but leaves Quagliarella on the edge of the box just completely open. And lo and behold, the ball sort of chipped in, and he judges it completely perfectly. And it's almost like he didn't really seem as if he put much effort into it. It was almost just like he sort of effortlessly just sort of stroked it into that far corner. And there was never really any doubt he was going in. As soon as he left his boot, you could tell Merritt was never getting there, despite getting a hand to it, which he was pretty unlucky, wasn't he?
Yeah, Merritt was never getting there, apart from he got a hand to it.
That is true. Yeah, he was never getting a substantial hand. To it.
I mean, some people have blamed Merritt for that goal, but I just think it was too powerful, and I don't think he could have done much about it. And if anything, he did well to get a hand on it.
Yeah, no, I'd certainly say so. Yeah, that would be very harsh to blame Merritt, because he did pretty well, and he was all right throughout the game. But yeah, brilliant goal from Quagliarella, and in that build-up play, whenever Sampdoria had that sort of build-up play, it'd always sort of go through him, and he looked brilliant. He to be fair to him, he's come back after having a couple of shaky performances at best. He looked pretty good. That sort of salvaged some hope for Sampdoria. And then Gaston Ramirez missed an absolute golden chance, didn't he?
He should have scored it. He got a bit cocky at the near post and tried to chip it over the defender and the keeper into the net, and he hit the post.
Yeah, it was shocking. He was sort of 6 yards out, maybe. I mean, there was no goalkeeper really in sight, and he just chips it. It was bizarre. And if he'd have scored that, of course, they'd have been 2-2, and that would have, Sam had the momentum then. And then Ramirez thought he'd made up for his earlier missed sitter, as he scored a delightful overhead kick from pretty close in. Ball was sort of bobbled about, chipped to the back post, and he kind of improvises and hits into the back corner. But it was unfortunately a Gabbiadini handball in the build-up that led to the goal being disallowed. But it was a handball, wasn't it? I mean, it was pretty obvious in real time it was a handball. To be honest with you, it wasn't. You didn't really need VAR for it if they'd have given it in the first place. It was kind of blatant. I mean, he sort of waves his elbow out. Almost.
Yeah, it was handball, definitely.
No, completely. That wasn't even one of those sort of dubious ones. It was just he's made a movement towards the ball.
Exactly.
Whether he's meant it or not, that's just how it is. And then, VAR, however, then went and helped Sampdoria as they were awarded a penalty as Quagliarella was brought down by Manolas. And Gabbiadini coolly converted the spot kick to bring the hosts level at 2-2. And then they kind of fell apart, Sampdoria. They looked pretty good prior to scoring that second goal. I mean, it was after they scored that second goal, it was almost like, that's job done, we've got the point. And that wasn't the case at all, because Napoli had this sort of fire in their belly, and they came darting back down the other end. Insigne's sort of, run kind of, brought him into the box. He hit a shot, got blocked, came straight back out to Diego Demme, who got subbed on, and he scored his first goal for Napoli after signing for RB Leipzig. The keeper had already dived for the shot, and it was a completely open goal, and it was a good finish. You just sort of had to be a controlled finish and not get blocked. He slid into empty net. And then that put Napoli ahead just 5 minutes after Gabbiadini's penalty. It was sort of like they crumbled, really. It was weird to see. But, and then sealing a deal was bizarre keeping from Emil Ardero, the Sampdoria keeper. He comes rushing out. It was like on FIFA when the keeper comes rushing out and automatically heads it.
It was terrible keeping.
And
if he was going to head it away, he headed it. He got no distance on that clearance.
No, you can tell he hasn't been practicing his heading, because that was pretty shocking. And he headed it straight back into the danger as well, which is the worst thing. But he headed it again straight back, and Mertens sort of takes a touch, looks up, realises, the keeper's right there, so sort of just chips it over him. And that's the deal for Napoli. I kind of felt bad for Sampdoria, because they played really well the majority of the game. Possession was fairly even. But no, I mean, they similar amount of shots. Both teams look good, and I guess a draw would have probably been the fair result. But Napoli ended up edging it out just because they're experienced late in games, and I felt like Sampdoria worked so hard to get back, they all just sort of threw it away as soon as they did get back.
Yeah, Sampdoria still looking for that win that will kickstart their season.
Elusive win that will kickstart their season, indeed. And the final game I want to kind of go through was Lecce absolutely mullering Walter Mazzari's Torino 4-0. Not the first time his team have been absolutely mauled in the past month. It was Lecce's first home win of the season, and we're in February, which is an incredible stat.
They're doing well this season, Lecce. They are.
They're brilliant. They're doing better than Spal. And that means something. Sorry, that was a sly dig.
I'm not hurt.
Her first home win of the season. It was their first goal. It was assisted by debutant Riccardo Saponara, who looked brilliant all game. He crossed from a short corner, sort of slid it kind of back to the edge of the box, and Alessandro Deola whips in a beautiful shot into the top right-hand corner after just 10 minutes. And that sort of set the precedent for the rest of the game, I'd say. Just 8 minutes later, fellow debutant Antonin Barak, who's recently signed on loan from Udinese, he put the hosts 2 up. It was a poor clearance from Ola Aina, ex-Chelsea man, as those who are fans of the English Premier League will know him. He sort of sees the ball kind of go back out and then put back into the area by Zamaya, and that's deflected back into Barak's path, and he volleyed it into the roof of the net. It was a good goal, but poor defending, which is sort of a characteristic of Torino's season, let alone just this game. But I mean, even despite their terrible defending, Sirigu was making save after save.
Sirigu kept them in it, and they lost 4-0.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was bizarre. For your keeper to play that well and you lose 4-0 shows how bad your defence is. And Mazzari's got a real problem there. But he was able to keep him afloat until the 64th minute when Filippo Falco put one past Sirigu that he just had no chance in saving. It was quite a nifty little run, sort of cut inside. He was kind of falling off balance, so he kind of had to get a shot off and sort of hit the bar, went in. There was zero chance of Sirigu getting there. And then that was sort of it, really, for Torino past that point. As another Saponara assist. It wasn't much of an assist, but it goes down in the stats, so that's a debut and 2 assists. And then Bremer, the Torino centre-half, after grabbing 2 goals in the Coppa Italia against Milan in midweek, conceded a penalty to give Gianluca Lapadula a much-deserved goal because he'd been buzzing all game. He'd been running around, putting loads of pressure on. He had a header saved. He looked pretty good, and he deserved a goal. And he took the penalty and converted it. But yeah, that was pretty much it. 4-0 Lecce. And the additions of Antonin Barak and Riccardo Saponara look really good for them. If they're players that you're not necessarily familiar with, they're both quite attacking creative midfielders. I say Saponara typically likes to play forwards more than Barak, who seems to be a little bit more box to box. He's quite a big guy, Barak, because I think he's sort of 6'3", tall guy. And if Liverani's side kind of want to stay up and they want to avoid the drop, these two will be absolutely crucial. And bringing them in January they're such underrated signings because a lot of the issues that Lecce have been creativity going forwards. It's all been going through Falco. So if you bring in 2 more creative attacking threats that you can provide the likes of Lapadula and Babacar with, suddenly they're going to be scoring a lot more goals. It's just whether they can not concede them at the other end. But they kept a clean sheet against the team with Belotti, so they can do it against not anyone, but most teams in Serie A, I'd say.
Yeah, Torino aren't looking great at the moment, are they, though? They are.
They are looking shocking, aren't they? They are looking awful. They're kind of in and around those European spots, but they're not going to get them because they're
I don't.
terrible.
They'll finish mid-table, maybe bottom half. Honestly,
they honestly could do. I wouldn't put it past them if they did. But running through the rest of the scores, so Bologna beat Brescia 2-1. They helped my accumulator massively, as did Cagliari and Parma, who drew 2-2. A 94th minute Andreas Cornelius header at the back stick sealed the draw for Parma in that game. Cagliari consider themselves pretty unlucky. Juventus beat Fiorentina 3-0. I could see that one kind of going in Juventus' favour, to be honest. Atalanta unlucky to draw 2-2 against Genoa. They were wasteful. They hit the woodwork loads of times in that particular game. Lazio beating Spal 5-1 again. Immobile with a brace as well as Filippo Caicedo. He's ridiculously good. Not sure what Berisha was doing for the second Immobile goal. That was a bit bizarre, wasn't it?
I don't want to talk about it.
I was right. No comment.
Yeah, no comment from me.
Milan drew 1-1 with Hellas Verona, which seems like a fair result, to be honest. Verona looking pretty good at the minute. Amrabat got sent off for Verona. Chanaloglu again scoring for Milan. He's stepped up recently. He stepped up midweek in the Coppa Italia, scoring a couple as well. Inter beat Udinese 2-0 away. Lukaku absolutely carried them to that particular victory without Lautaro Martinez. And finally, the Sampdoria 4-2 loss to Napoli at home, which is a game we've already been through. So that's a roundup of the Serie A results.
Should we get cracking on the Bundesliga?
Let's get crack-a-lacking.
I'm going to try and sound as hyped as I possibly can.
You did well in the intro, so...
I am hyped. I am... Yeah,
enthusiastic.
I'm enthusiastic. Just don't sound it. I'm going to kick off with the Leipzig-Gladbach game. That was a cracking top-of-the-table clash between two sides that have really been great this season. Gladbach were definitely the best team in the first half. They created the most chances and dominated most of the ball. Plie got a goal to put his side in the lead, And they looked like they were going to get another one, and they did. RB Leipzig made lots of mistakes, like they kept giving the ball away very sloppy, and that was one of the reasons they conceded the second goal. The ball was played out of defence, and it was cut out, and Hoffman scored the goal, played through to him, and he had a one-on-one finish with the keeper, which he put away well. And then it got to half-time, you're thinking, wow, looks like Gladbach could win this quite comfortably. But no, RB Leipzig came back flying in the second half, really took control of the game. A game with two halves is the best way to describe it, definitely. It was a former Roma man who you know very well, Patrick Schick, who put RB back in the game after a mix-up with another Sommer mistake. He's making a lot of them recently.
Yeah.
Where he kind of clashed with
his own defender, wasn't it?
Zaraki, the midfielder. Yeah, where he fell on top of him and then managed to drop the ball through his own legs behind him.
Because at first it almost looks like he kind of comes into Schick, but actually you look back at it and he's going back into his own defender.
I thought it was a foul on him, but no, there was no foul. It was just he clashed with the his midfielder, and that put Schick and Leipzig back in the game at 2-1. And then they kept persisting. Sommer, to be fair, made a lot of brilliant saves. Defensively, Gladbach tried to hold on, but a red card to Plie didn't help their cause. Down to 10 men, quite controversially. He got tackled by Sabitzer, which I thought was a foul, and he clearly thought so too, so he remonstrated with the referee and got booked for his reaction, and then he waved his arms around, said a few words, which we don't know what he said because it was in German, and
could have been French. He's French, isn't he? So it might have been in French, but we don't know. But we don't want to translate.
It was probably in German. Could have been. It's a German league.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that might be a bit of a giveaway.
Yeah.
Then he got a second booking, very close to his first, or a matter of seconds after his first, and he got sent off quite controversially. And let me tell you, Gladbach were not happy about that. They're absolutely furious about it, and that really gave RB a bit of a kick, and they came flying out. Had a lot of chances. It took them till very late on, and an absolute moment of magic through Nkunku, former PSG midfielder. An absolutely brilliant goal. He's been playing behind the forward. He got the ball outside the box. Put it outside of his feet. He didn't even have necessarily like a huge gap between him and the ball, but the power he generated and the movement was unbelievable. He rifled it from the edge of the box into the corner.
Missile. It was beautiful.
It was an absolutely brilliant goal, and it needed a moment of magic because it was a tight game, and in all honesty, on the whole, the game probably should have ended up a draw, rightfully because of the two halves which were dominated by first Gladbach and then RB, and that was has big implications for the league, as we'll find out later. But
indeed,
moving on to Fortuna Düsseldorf against Frankfurt, not a game I thought I'd be covering this week, but after Friedhelm Funkel was sacked by Düsseldorf after bottom of the league, not playing well, getting barely any wins. He was replaced by Uwe Rosler, who might be familiar to a few people of English football, former Brentford, Wigan, Leeds and Fleetwood manager, and in the Manchester City Hall of Fame, where he used to play up front. Yeah.
Wow.
Scored 50 goals for them, or about that.
An illustrious Hall of Fame, I can imagine.
Incredible player. Yeah. So he was appointed, surprisingly, despite being a German manager. He's never managed in Germany before. So first time for everything, and so he got a very quite a decent start. The game was, I'd say, quite balanced. It was more Frankfurt, but it was Düsseldorf also had their chances, and they had a disallowed goal ruled out for offside.
Seemed like a foul in the build-up though for that.
Yeah,
particular
I
goal,
think
didn't
it should have been ruled out for a foul. Never mind offside.
Yeah.
There were two things in that goal. Should have ruled it out.
Getting disallowed either way, wasn't it?
Exactly. But Ahan, a deflected free kick in the 78th minute, put Dusseldorf in front, and they or Fortuna Dusseldorf, as I've got to call them, because there's another team called Dusseldorf.
Calling them the wrong name. It'd be like calling them Sheffield, wouldn't it? You know, that's just like such a generic area. Sorry, I'm not going to roast you, Fayez.
Brilliant.
Talk to them. Carry on.
He loves to find a way to roast me, but
It's got to be done, isn't
it? Then they thought they were going to get a very impressive 3 points from the team that last week beat RB Leipzig, which is crazy. But no, a 93rd minute header from Chandler, awarded after VAR review, gave Frank a point, but still a 1-1 against one of the better teams in the league, Frankfurt. It's a very good point for a team that's bottom of the league, and a great start for Rosler.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, no, that could certainly see them stay up. Absolute heartbreak at the end with the late equaliser. But I don't know. Do you see Fortuna Dusseldorf staying up? Do you see them sort of getting a bit of a run of form now?
You know what? I think it could happen. I still think they're going to get relegated.
Sure.
Because I honestly think that Paderborn, I know despite losing this week, as you'll find out later, I just think they're playing quite good football, and I think they might push to stay up. But then there aren't that many teams that I think. I'm really unsure, because the thing is, Dusseldorf his performance was good against Frankfurt, and you think they've turned a corner. But then I look at the table and I'm like, who would replace them in that in the relegation spots?
Sure.
So it's a
tricky one, cool.
It's a very tricky one. But moving on to a fixture that was not so tricky, Borussia Dortmund.
Hang on, you've picked Dortmund? Surely not. You never pick Dortmund. We never talk about Dortmund on this podcast.
It's Dortmund keep playing well, all right?
Yeah.
I can't help it. I talk about the teams that were the best that week for where they are in the league, and a 5-0 win you just can't ignore.
True.
They got a 5-0 win over Union Berlin, even though in their last fixture they lost 3-1 early in the season.
Bizarre, that.
Yeah, at Union Berlin. That was 1-0, and somehow they managed to lose that one. But yeah, to say they've kicked on from then is a bit of an understatement, now beating them 5-0. Who did they not have back then?
I'm just trying to think. It's some lanky bloke up top.
Some lanky
yeah,
bloke.
It might be from Norway, I want to say.
Maybe. Wait, Norway.
Not
Norway.
Please, no, we're not doing that joke again. Let's just squash that right there.
Yeah, Erling Haland popping up again.
On the podcast or for goals? Because he pops up a lot on the podcast as well.
Yeah, he's kind of like Dortmund, like I bring him up every week, but
yeah, rightfully so, I guess.
Yeah, at the moment, rightfully so. Sancho put his side in the lead, and that is his 25th Bundesliga goal, and he's the first player to reach that tally of goals at the age of 19. Which is quite a crazy stat. He is absolutely tearing up that league.
Generational talent. Him and Haland, but they're just
them
unreal,
two.
aren't they?
Them two together are unbelievable. Yeah, he put his side 1-0 up, and then Haland popped up. His movement to lose the defender after a Brandt cross was unbelievable.
It's beautiful, wasn't he? He sort of just drifted to the back post for that one.
Defenders can't even pick him up. His movement's too good. But yeah, 2-0, and then he got played through by Sancho and won a penalty. It was minimal contact, but it was enough for him to go down.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a blatant penalty just because the contact was so minimal, but I think the fact that he's going so quickly and so is the keeper, that collision was naturally going to bring him down. I think he was going down anyway, but the fact that the keeper got any contact on him meant it was definitely going to be given a penalty.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And Royce stepped up to convert that penalty to make it 3-0. Witsel then made it 4. First goal after his return from injury, after it was pulled back by Sancho. It was pulled back by Sancho. And then Haland decided, you know what, I'm just going to score again. He a beautiful Julian Brandt flick. He got the ball in midfield, turned, played it out wide, got the ball back, flicked it to Haland, who put it under the keeper, who definitely could have done better.
He certainly could have done better. I think his confidence was shot at the time. I mean, I think he was, he just didn't look like a keeper playing with an awful lot of confidence. It sort of wriggles under him. I think Haland sort of caught him by surprise with the initial shot because he came in so quickly, but yeah, he could have done better for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He could have done better, but we used this stat. So Haland last week was the first player to score 5 goals in his first 2 games, and he didn't start either of them. And now he's the first ever player to score 7 goals in his first 3 games.
It's unreal, absolutely so good. Imagine if he keeps this up. If he keeps up his goal scoring record, he'll be the best player in the world in about 6 months.
What I find funny is after the game they interviewed him and he just came out and said, "Yeah, I'm not even fully fit."
If this isn't him fully fit, he's not a Hulk, you should see me when I'm angry. This isn't even me angry. It's like he's mental. It's that sort of domination.
Forever angry.
Forever angry. That's it. I hope he's not. He seems like a lovely guy, but he might not need to be angry when he's scoring this many goals.
Man of few words, Haland. After we found out in the Champions League,
yes.
where he got interviewed, and oh yeah, you scored, and he went, yeah,
cool.
Yeah, but elsewhere in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich beat Mainz 3-1, who Bayern Munich looked brilliant and just can't stop winning. In the clash for Europa League qualification places, Hoffenheim came out on top over Bayer Leverkusen. 2-1 win there. Demirbay getting a late red card after 2 yellow cards, which does make a red card, so that would make sense.
It does indeed, yeah. 1-on-1 makes 2.
And quick maths. And then... but yeah, that result was very important in the Europa League qualification race. Hertha Berlin, as said in the intro, got a very exciting 0-0 draw against Schalke. I mean, we made it sound boring, but it's actually a very impressive result for Hertha Berlin, which Schalke a few games ago looking like they could possibly challenge for the title.
Yeah. Other than getting battered by Bayern Munich.
Yeah, well, they've fallen away recently, but...
Certainly with a shout.
Yeah, they were in with a shout. I don't see anymore. But then Cologne 4-0 over Freiburg, getting some thrilling games, some goal-scoring games to try and match your Serie A.
Indeed, got nothing on it.
Serie A games, yeah. Cologne absolutely battering another team which are looking for Europa League football this year in Freiburg. Now on to match your many 4-2 results with one of our own. Wolfsburg beating Paderborn 4-2. It's not actually like a woeful result for Paderborn. Paderborn, I know it's a loss, but Paderborn played quite well and they look quite good going forwards.
Yeah, no, I reckon they could potentially stay up if they play some, pretty good football. I'd say it's fairly fortuitous. If that was an absolutely terrible joke.
I didn't even get it.
That's fair enough. If fortuitous is like the word, no, don't worry, we'll leave it. That Wolfsburg won and Paderborn looked pretty good. So there we go.
I really want you to explain this joke now.
So the word fortuitous means lucky.
Yeah.
And 4-2 is the scoreline that we keep talking about.
Goodness,
there we go. It was a tenuous link, and I can only apologise on behalf of the listeners and myself.
I feel bad for not getting it now.
Yeah, that's on you.
But then the final game of the round of fixtures was Augsburg beating Werder Bremen 2-1. Who Werder Bremen looked absolutely terrible.
Struggling, aren't they?
And it wouldn't surprise me if they finished bottom of the league. Honestly, I see Dusseldorf and Paderborn overtaking them if they... It's too early to say for Fortuna. I should call them Fortuna. As it's only one game in. It's a good result, but yeah, it's one game and it could just be a new manager bounce and we don't know how long that will last. But yeah, I think under Uwe Rosler they could do quite well. And then... moving on to what that does for the table, which you need to do after I finish mine.
Well, I thought we were going to go on to both of our players of the week, and then we could potentially discuss what implications these results have.
Okay, sure, let's do that. See, we are very organised.
Very organised. We have
it's
so much
It's not as if we've
order
spent hours planning it this morning.
We have indeed, but there we go.
Just for you guys.
Should I kick off with my player of the week?
Yeah, you kick off. Actually, no. I'll kick off with my player of the week because I feel like...
Taking the reins,
as I feel like I should just continue it on. Brilliant. And it's a bit of a surprise, really.
It is,
It's shocking.
It really does,
My player of the week is Erling Haland,
Ooh.
who did quite well this week, if I hadn't told you already. But no, I know it feels like a bang on about Dortmund and Haland every week, but we need please, teams and players, please step up. I need to talk about someone else so I don't sound really biased.
Cologne won 4-0, Sam.
Yeah, it's
you glossed over them.
Yeah, okay, but it wasn't like as important a result, like if you get me.
Okay.
I mean, it is an important result as Freiburg are kind of looking for European places.
They beat a team like 6 places above them, didn't they? 4-0 Cologne. Because Freiburg are 8th and Cologne are 14th, if I'm right in saying.
I think so, yeah.
So that's quite a big gap, isn't it?
Okay, yeah, it's a big result, but then 5-0, you know.
Yeah, true. That's one more goal.
And,
so that changes the whole perspective.
There's loads of stats.
And you support Dortmund. I mean, and Haland scored a few goals, and he's quite glamorous to talk about. So
okay, but yeah, as I was saying, because
on.
of players, please step up so I don't have to talk about Haland every week. Haland, can you keep scoring, but like 1 a game now?
Brilliant. You're telling him to score less goals. I fully rate that.
No, yeah.
Brilliant.
I just want someone else to talk about. But yeah, I enjoy talking about him, but yeah, shut up, Sam. 2 goals, played well. He's an absolute monster. He really is. He's huge. He's absolutely huge, and he's so fast for someone of his size. You could see that when he won the penalty, getting there before the keeper. And 2 goals he scored were both first touch. His movement was
his
amazing
instinct as well.
Exactly,
that goal was incredible.
He looks incredible. And we were talking about Jadon Sancho's stat earlier. And Haland only has 19 goals before the 21st of July to match that. So, and I wouldn't put it past him.
Blimey, that's unreal. He is a very good player, but I've also gone with a striker, Sam. A guy I mentioned. We didn't just mention earlier. I spoke about it a little bit. It wasn't a game that I analysed deeply because I didn't want to go with the team I support in my particular league, unlike some.
Is that a shot?
Is that, not at all, Sam, not at all. But yeah, no, it was Inter beat Udinese 2-0.
Exactly, boring game. Exactly. Dortmund won 5-0.
Sorry, can I speak about my player?
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
I got a bit agitated.
It's okay, Sam. It's all right. Don't worry.
Continue.
Thank you very much. My player of the week is Romelu Lukaku. He scored twice. One was a penalty, and he looked brilliant all game. He was a handful for the Udinese defenders. And in Lautaro Martinez's absence, particularly considering how prolific their partnership has been all season, the Belgian stepped up, and he was, as I say, a handful for the Udinese back line. He sealed the win for the Nerazzurri, and he kept their title challenge alive. With all the other teams around them winning their games, it was crucial that Inter won this game. And they were kind of peppered by Udinese fairly often. Ken Sema down the left absolutely tore Victor Moses a new one. He really did. Victor Moses looked pretty good going forwards, but defensively wasn't brilliant. But we're not talking about Victor Moses, we're talking about Romelu Lukaku. And Lukaku was great all game. Indeed I am. He was partnered by Sebastiano Esposito, the 17-year-old striker. And he wasn't amazing, Esposito. He's looked good in previous games, but this game wasn't amazing. So Lukaku had to carry a lot of the attacking workload. And the few chances he did get, he converted really well. Sanchez won the penalty for him to then score. And it was never really in doubt. Coolly converted, sent the keeper the wrong way. And he's my player of the week simply because he's single-handedly in that game kept Inter in the title race. Because if they lose that, especially with Lazio having a game in hand, that's almost them done, I'd say. Would you like to go on to your roundup of the table then?
Yeah, I'll round up the table. And following Leipzig dropping points and the Gladbach dropping points as they drew, Bayern Munich go top of the league, unsurprisingly. And so Leipzig's dropped down to second. Borussia Dortmund, following their win, come up to third. Gladbach fourth, still in the Champions League places, but that's only because Leverkusen in fifth lost to Hoffenheim. Schalke, 0-0 draw, stay sixth. But I tell you what, Hoffenheim in seventh, only 1 point behind the Europa League qualification places who are catching.
Heels, yeah.
And back down to the bottom of the table now, into the relegation playoffs. 16th, Werder Bremen on 17 points. They look woeful. 17th, Fortuna have moved up one place off the rock bottom of the league following a Paderborn loss, who subsequently dropped down to 18th.
Nice word. I like that word. Good old bit of subsequently. Do you think Mainz could get dragged into that relegation spot?
Yeah,
They're only a point, aren't
Mainz
they?
in 15th. Yeah, I think Mainz could possibly be dragged in, and if Paderborn make their revival or Fortuna Dusseldorf do, I can see Mainz dropping in there definitely.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Is that your roundup of the table then?
That is my roundup of the table. Now, would you like
Brilliant.
to move on to the Serie A?
I would love to. So Juventus stay top after their convincing win against Fiorentina on 54 points. Inter sit 3 points behind them on the same amount of games played on 51. Then Lazio crucially sit behind them just 2 points off of Inter. They have a game in hand though, and that's being played this midweek. You might even be listening to the podcast and watching that game at the same time. That would be content overload right there.
That would be amazing.
Incredible.
I think you should definitely do that. And even if you're not listening to it during that game, you should just listen to it anyway.
Listen to it anyway, because not everyone has Premier Sports. So, we got to respect that. Understandably, because their coverage is terrible. Shout out Premier Sports.
We're just never going to get a brand deal from them now. Thanks,
no,
Archie.
No, they're good Premier Sports. I love you, really. They sit 2 points behind Inter, crucially with that game in hand. If they win that game in hand, they go second. Then some 10 points behind them are both Atalanta and Roma. Atalanta move above Roma thanks to Roma's woeful loss to Sassuolo. Both on 39 points. And there's a significant gap to the Europa League qualification place, just the one place. And anyone really down from 6th to 11th can get that. From Bologna, Napoli, Hellas Verona, Milan, Parma and Cagliari, who are currently sitting in that position. There's 2 points between those. Is that 5 teams? Yeah, 5 teams. No, 6 teams. Good maths, Archie. 6 whole teams that could get into that one position, so they'll be vying for that. And then relegation-wise, so thanks to Lecce's win, that keeps them ahead of Genoa, who sit 18th on 16, Brescia, who sit 19th on 15, and Spal, who sit last on 15. And they are condemned to relegation, I'd say both Spal and Brescia are going down. I fancy Lecce's chances with their new additions. Sampdoria, who are just sitting a point above Lecce, should be all right. We should have enough quality to stay up. But that's the relegation picture, European qualification picture and title picture. So many pictures.
Yeah.
It's a podcast that you can't even see, so many pictures.
Thank you for that, Archie. This podcast is pretty much a gallery. There's so many pictures.
It's brilliant, isn't it? You love to see it. Okay. Shall we go on to our new head-to-head predictions?
Ooh.
And I'd like to quickly, if it's all right with you, Sam, take people through the point system.
Yeah, let's run through the points so you understand what's going on. We will run through this every week so you know how me and Archie are doing. If you want to play along at home, you can do.
The state of that. Yeah. Basically, we're going to sort of keep a running total of how we get on. It's quite convoluted, so if you don't get it at first, that's so patronising. I'm never going to say that again.
I don't know what it means.
Brilliant. So the point system is, we're doing 3 games. We're doing 6 games each. We're both going to pick 3 games from the Serie A and 3 games from the Bundesliga each. We get to pick them because it's our podcast.
That's right, it's our podcast.
That's right, yeah, no one's taken it, no one wants to. The correct result, if you get the correct result, so say you predict a win, and it is a win, but it's not the exact scoreline, you get a point. You get a point, Sam. Points mean prizes. And if you get the correct scoreline, so you predict a 3-0 loss, for Dortmund, then that's 3 points to you. And we're breaking it down each game into 3 categories, just to be a bit different. So one match is going to be featuring at least one of the traditional big teams, the Bayerns, the Dortmunds, the Inters, the Milans, that sort of thing. And they will stay the exact same points. They won't be doubled or trebled. They'll just be your base scores. So they should be the ones that you really should be predicting. Then the second one will be the tricky to predict games, and we basically judge if it's a tricky to predict game. If we're struggling to predict the result, we pick that one, select our result, and if we get that, it's double points, bubble.
Double points. And by the way, we didn't mean to make this the most cringy section of the podcast of all time.
Is it cringy? I don't think
points
it's cringy.
mean prizes is my personal highlight.
That was pretty shocking to me. I do apologise, but points do mean prizes. I'm sure you keep saying that because you sat there quite triggered by it. And then our last one is going to be a controversial pick. And now that, my friends, is treble points. We're not messing around here. So if you,
My friends. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
if you get the
Didn't know you
correct
had any
results,
friends, Archie.
brilliant. Cheers, Sam. Much appreciated, mate. You're not even here. I just talked to myself and changed the voice up a little. Yeah, no. If you get the correct
Don't
result,
expose me.
say if you get the correct result on a controversial pick, say you pick, I don't know, Spal to win a game of football, which is pretty controversial. If you get the correct result on that, which would normally be worth 1 point, you've guessed it, kids.
Oh my goodness me. I'm so sorry. Should I explain this?
I sound like a TV presenter. This is great.
You're worse than a TV
This is
presenter.
amazing. Basically, yeah, you triple your points. It's pretty simple. So we're going to go through our different scores. Shall we kick things off with the Bundesliga? We'll hop back on over to that. We've both picked 3 games each. We haven't looked at each other's scores. Yeah.
No, we haven't.
We haven't at all. And
Don't make it sound like we have.
that did make it sound a little bit suspicious. I'm only seeing his now. But I haven't read them yet, so that's good. So, who's your big team prediction?
My big team, I've chosen Bayer Leverkusen against Borussia Dortmund.
Right, what's your prediction for that?
And
then?
I think that Borussia Dortmund will win 3-1. I think not Leipzig. I think Bayer Leverkusen at the moment are going through a bit of a rough patch. I don't think they look incredible, while Dortmund are steaming ahead and have Haland.
Oh, at least you haven't mentioned. Okay, yeah, that's probably a fair assessment of how things will go. I could see Dortmund winning that one. My big team prediction for the Bundesliga is Schalke Paderborn. While I give Paderborn. Oh, blimey, that sounded awful. I spat into the mic.
That was disgusting. Don't do it again. Archie is an absolute mess this week.
Yeah, no, I really am. I'm in a state. I've had about 2 hours sleep. I've got Schalke to beat Paderborn 3-1. I'll give Paderborn a reasonable chance. I kind of did. I was sort of thinking about this, and they look all right going forwards. But I think going to play away at Schalke is never an easy feat, especially if you're a small team like Paderborn. So I see Schalke winning that one. That should be a fairly safe prediction on my front. Give myself one point at least in the bank.
Yeah, no, sure. Should we move on to big team?
Well, we just did big team, so that'll be tricky. We'll go on to tricky to predict.
Talk about tricky. Should we move on to our tricky to... Yeah, you just said it. All right.
Sure.
Sorry, it will get better. So our tricky... I can't speak. My tricky to predict fixture this week will be Bayern Munich against RB Leipzig. I mean, this any other time would be... I'd choose probably Bayern Munich as the big team. However, in a game of this magnitude and with both teams at so close to the top of the table, it's a very tricky fixture to predict. But I see with Bayern Munich looking so brilliant as they are at the moment, and RB Leipzig just going through a bit of a blip. They lost to Frankfurt the other week, and only a draw against Gladbach, who Bayern Munich beat, of course. I can see Bayern Munich winning this game in a tight affair, lots of goals, 3-2.
Yeah, that'll be an entertaining one for the neutral for sure. But yeah, I could see Bayern Munich winning that one, and in fact, so much so that they are my tricky to predict prediction.
You can't really go with any other game, really, can you?
You can't, can you? Because it is a really tricky game to predict. I don't see it being quite as high scoring as yours. I've got Bayern winning 2-1. I've still got Bayern winning. Yeah, as you say, they're both fairly free scoring teams. Bayern Munich are on a bit of a tear at the minute. Leipzig being fairly inconsistent in recent weeks. I could certainly see them dropping points to Bayern Munich. I could see it ending a draw, but to be honest, I think Bayern Munich are just too formidable at the minute to be dropping points to the likes of Leipzig, who aren't necessarily in the greatest form they could be in. Shall we move on to our controversial pick then? Who's yours, Sam?
I've gone with your big team. In fact, I've gone with with Schalke against Paderborn.
No.
Yeah, really. Bottom of the league, Paderborn are playing Schalke, who, again, are going through a rough patch, I'd say. Like, pretty much every one of the teams I've listed for big team, tricky and controversial. Seems like everyone's going through a rough patch. But no, I see, I don't know, there's just something about Paderborn that when I watch them, I just think, there's just something about you that could get results. And I think Paderborn, despite being away to one of the best teams in the league this season, I think Paderborn will win away 2-1.
2-1. Wow. That is living up to the title of a controversial pick, I've got to say. I like it from you, Sam. I like the boldness of it. My controversial pick is a high-scoring one. Gladbach host Cologne. And I see Cologne taking that one 3-2, you know. Because they absolutely mauled Freiburg. They look pretty good going forwards. They got Jean Cordoba, who scored, I think, one. I can't remember exactly how many he scored. I believe he scored in that game against Freiburg. But yeah, they're away at Gladbach, and I see them winning 3-2. I see it being a high-scoring affair, maybe a red card or two thrown in there. And yeah, no, I that's my controversial pick. Cologne beating high-flying Gladbach.
I mean, Cologne have won 4 of their last 5 games, only losing to Dortmund. They beat Frankfurt, Werder Bremen, and Wolfsburg on that run, and Freiburg, of course, in the last game. So, to be fair, I think that's definitely a possibility. Cologne are in a bit of a run of form.
Indeed, they are. So, shall we hop on over to Italy or the Serie A?
Let's jump over to Italy.
Let's do it. Right. I'm gonna kick things off. My big team prediction: Napoli host Lecce. While Lecce did, I keep saying maul. I shouldn't say maul. I was gonna say mauled Torino. They beat Torino fairly convincingly. I'd see them falling to Napoli, but again, another high-scoring affair. In fact, I've gone with a 4-2. This has been a fairly consistent scoreline of this podcast. I see Napoli beating them 4-2. They looked good against Sampdoria going forward, and Lecce, I reckon, will score a few goals, but I think they might be found out defensively by the likes of Insigne, Milik, Mertens if he plays. I reckon they could be undone by those guys, but I do think Lecce will score. I reckon it could be 2-2, and then it's going in a similar vein to how the Sampdoria game went, and Napoli will stretch away at the end of the game. They'll just have too much for Lecce, I reckon. What about you?
Sure, my big team is Hellas Verona, who are my big team. No, Hellas Verona against Juventus. Juventus, of course, led by. Do you want to
say led by anymore? Where are we going with this, Sam?
Yeah, led by the goals of Ronaldo this year, having last year, I'd say it being underwhelming for him.
Yeah.
Personally,
First year in Italy, yeah.
Exactly. Not. I wouldn't say necessarily the end of last season, but I'd say definitely the start of this season. He hasn't necessarily been on top form, but with him getting in the goals at the moment, I can see Juventus scoring a few, and despite some Hellas Verona form, they're playing quite well at the moment.
Solid defensively as well.
Exactly.
I'm surprised by the 4 goals to Juventus.
Well, I haven't actually read my prediction yet, so
fair enough.
You don't want to.
Sorry.
No, you spoiled it. But yeah, I think, as Archie said, I think Juventus will win 4-1. I do think Hellas Verona will score, but I think Juventus will win this fairly comfortably.
Yep, no, that seems fair enough. Yeah, I don't see them getting that many goals, but they could well do. They're pretty free scoring at the minute. My tricky to predict game, I think you go with the same one because it's the Milan derby, which I'm very excited for, despite Handanovic not being in goal for Inter at the minute, thanks to a hairline fracture to his thumb. I see that being 2-2. I reckon Milan are a decent run of form at the minute. And the fact that it's a big derby will pump them up even more. But Inter, I think they'll just have too much quality to actually lose to Milan, especially as they're technically the home team, Inter. And I don't see necessarily either team pipping each other in this particular game. I think one's on good form and the other one's got too much quality for them to lose. But yeah, no, I see that being a 2-2 draw, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as you said, I've gone for the same game, and similarly, I've gone for a draw. I also think that these teams won't be separated, and I think definitely a feisty affair where I think I could see a few yellows and maybe a few red cards.
Dabbling in the red cards, I could see that.
Exactly, I could see that happening, but I think it will be 0-0 personally. I don't think there will be
thriller
that many goals. I just think it'll be a little bit cagey, and despite Inter being at the Champions League places going for the league, and Milan not necessarily being near there, I'd say that I just don't see many goals in this game. So yeah, I think 0-0.
Yep, that seems fair. Right, my controversial pick is
everything seems fair.
It does. It's all fair. That's what we're like on this podcast. Everything's fair. My controversial pick is Roma. They host Bologna. And while Roma are pretty high-flying, they did lose to Sassuolo, as I said, 4-2. And I see them continuing this vein. I see a slight dip in form from Roma. They're missing Zaniolo. That much is obvious. And I could see them falling 2-1 to Bologna, who are on a tear at the minute. They're in the they're in with a shout with that European qualification place. And I see, Bologna winning this 2-1. Palacio, while he's getting his chances, isn't converting, but thankfully the rest of the team are making up for his woeful finishing in front of goal at the minute. He missed an absolute sitter at the weekend. I see them winning that particular game 2-1, and that is my controversial pick. I reckon Bologna will go to the Stadio Olimpico and beat them.
Wow, I have gone for Genoa against Cagliari. Cagliari
Who?
of Cagliari.
Cagliari?
Cagliari. Shut up.
Cagliari, of course.
I spell it phonetically. Yeah, Cagliari.
Okay.
Shut up. I think.
Are they playing Gene by any chance?
Brilliant. I can see. I can see Genoa winning that game with. Every time I say it now, I'm just gonna think it's wrong.
That's all right. Just say the other team, maybe, or just say it. Just say it wrong.
I'm gonna say it wrong.
Okay,
I think. Cagliari going through. Stop laughing. I think. They're not going through an incredible patch of form, but Genoa. Bear in mind where they are in the table in the relegation places aren't on a terrible reign of form.
Got a point against Atalanta.
Exactly. They've drawn their last two games against Fiorentina and Atalanta respectively. And both of them are decent teams. I know Fiorentina haven't necessarily been the team they have been in other seasons, but they're still a decent team to get a point against. And I can see them winning this 1-0.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. I think it'll be tight. But I think Genoa will just pip it and possibly move out the relegation places if they score 6.
so by your prediction, they're not moving out the relegation places.
No, they're not going to move out the relegation places unless.
Fair enough.
Actually, no, they might. Lecce might lose to whoever they have this week, who are Napoli. I could see them moving out the relegation places.
Yeah, they could do.
Lecce are going to lose 5-0.
Well, I had them losing 4-2, so we're close.
Exactly.
I could potentially. It was a toss-up between those two games as it goes. I don't necessarily, keeping a clean sheet against Cagliari. I think they've got too much going forwards with João Pedro, Rajinai and Galan, Simeone. I think they've got too much going forwards. But I could see Genoa pipping them, I think that's a genuinely decent shout, especially as Cagliari are away. Defensively, they're not the best, and Genoa, as you say, aren't on a terrible run of form. And this could kickstart their survival campaign.
Would you not say, though, that Fiorentina had a lot going forward? I mean, they've got Crotone. Yeah. Crotone, Kouame, exactly.
Only just signed for them, to be fair. From Genoa, weirdly.
They got Castrovilli, of course, creative midfielder. Exactly.
Didn't play, but I
thought I'd mention that just because to make you happy.
I think Cagliari have got way more going forward, though, which is the only issue, because they've got Cagliari have got a couple of really good strikers, whereas Catrone, as you say, is coming, but he's not on that goal-scoring tear. The others are. He's readjusting to the Serie A. They've got Vlahovic, who scores the odd goal, but going forwards, there's such a disparity between Cagliari and Fiorentina. Just the amount of goals they've also scored this season.
Don't you really like Kouame, though? Don't you? Isn't he a player you really rate?
Yeah, I do rate him. He was at Genoa, and he's a pretty quick player. Scored a couple of goals, I believe, this season.
Scored 5, yeah.
Scored 5, yeah. No, he's scored a few, and he's always looked pretty bright for them. And yeah, I think that's a fairly good signing for Fiorentina. Again, they're just trying to bolster their attack, as you say. They're just trying to bolster their chances going forwards, and with Castrovilli, Eric Pulgar, and those guys in behind, I reckon Kouame could feed off their through balls that they play through, because they lack a little bit of pace going forwards with that Catrone.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you want to read through the rest of the fixtures for the week? Just throw a little spanner in there for
you've really thrown
Archie
me a
to
start.
start.
Of course,
to
Sam.
start panicking.
I've
yeah,
always been prepared
just
for
read
this.
through the rest of the fixtures.
Friday the 7th of February.
We don't
I'm
need
not going to do that.
Just read the fixtures.
Roma play Bologna. Then on the Saturday, Fiorentina hosts Atalanta. Torino hosts Sampdoria, and the late kickoff is Hellas Verona. They host Juventus. Then Sunday, the 9th of February, Spal host Sassuolo, Brescia play Udinese, Napoli host Lecce, Genoa host Cagliari, Parma against Lazio, and then rounding up the week is the Milan derby, Inter host AC Milan.
Sure, and in the Bundesliga, start off the weekend with Frankfurt, who play Augsburg. Wolfsburg play Fortuna Düsseldorf. Hertha Berlin against Mainz. Werder Bremen against Union Berlin. Freiburg are playing Hoffenheim. Schalke against Paderborn. Leverkusen against Dortmund. Mönchengladbach against Cologne. And finishing the weekend with the big game, Bayern Munich against RB Leipzig.
Absolute barnstormer of a game. Right, shall we wrap things up there?
I think we shall.
There we go. Well, I've been Archie.
I've been Sam.
That was so cringy. We appreciate you listening if you are. And yeah, have a good week.
If you are.
You are, yeah. Well,
they obviously are if they're listening.
That's a very good point, Sam. Thank you very much.
So thank you guys for listening, and check out our Twitter.
Check out Twitter at a clear and obv pod.
And check out our socials.
Yeah, we got YouTube. Check us out on Spotify.
Exactly, our individual socials as well. My Twitter is Sam Cole 2468.
2468.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Creative.
It's tragic. I'm at Archcore, but if you really want to follow for the greatest content in the game, it's just casual video articles basically. So.
And I just retweet Full and Focus articles.
So there we go. Thank you for that, Sam. Thank you for that plug. We've been a Clear and Obvious podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening, guys.
Bye.